Hello, Nick. This is the presentation for Team Sprint number 3. We are the HC Task Force. So I am Sege. We have Alan, Zahiduzaman, Tommy, Hangyu, and Kanishka in our team. We will start with the screen prototype. So with the Balsamic wireframing tool, I was able to make an interactive web tool wireframe that is low fidelity. It is very basic initial screen prototype. So on the top we have the welcome banner, welcome to Data Scraper. We have on the left 4 different icons to select different types of inputs. We have form, API, HTML, and PDF. And once the users click any of these buttons, it will um, there'll be a pop-up that says link or upload a file. The middle section is where the users can press convert, and it will convert whatever the input file is to a CSV output. So this is where in the backend we'll parse the information, the input file information, format it, and output. On the right, you see an online viewer where the users are able to see the CSV content without having to open them up externally. On the bottom, there are 4 links so that users can press to directly go into the specific input function they want: form, API, PDF, HTML to CSV. On the far right side, I have an error pop-up error message that says conversion failed. This would pop up whenever it fails, whenever our tool fails to convert into CSV.
Okay, so next I will introduce our product architecture design from an engineering point of view. In a typical use case, our user will go to our website and they will need to choose the type of data they want to script and some related information. So if it is a API or web page, they will need to fill in the URL, and if it's a PDF, they need to upload the file. So after the user submits the data scripting request, the system will create a script job with a job description, and triggers the processing pipeline on the right side. There are 3 components in the pipeline, each handling a single stage. The fetcher here will fetch the raw data, such as getting the API response or the HTML source code, or convert the PDF file into a processable object. Then the intermediate result will be passed to the parser, and the parser will extract the information there and organize them into a CSV object. The next stage, the CSV object will be passed into the formatter, and it will be used to generate a CSV file. The final result of the file will be available for downloading from our website. Optionally, we can also process the script job asynchronously. We will have a main process that creates job, and a separate worker fetches the job and processes them. In this case, we will also provide a job worker component. The benefit we can get from this approach is that the front end of which handles the web request and the back end processing will be decoupled. So if there is a single scripting task that takes a long time to finish, it won't block our website.
This is our current team Gantt chart. As you can see, the last sprint we've already completed with the research part of the project. This sprint is concentrated on the design and creating the CI/CD pipeline and finish identifying the project scope. The next sprint will finish up the environmental setup so we can start finalizing the questions with the mentor and programming the app. And the following sprints will be developing the app, testing it, and finally finishing it. Sprint 8 is our final sprint, and we'll be finalizing the application and creating our final presentation and our review.
Our team is going to be using the Flask full stack Python framework to build our web application. And for deployment and hosting, we're going to be utilizing the available health data analytics platform. Our deployment pipeline will look something like this. The developers are going to be building on the Flask framework. The code will be committed to our Georgia Tech GitHub Data Scraper project repository. The push to the deploy branch will trigger the drone CI, which will then run tasks like unit testing. If the tests are passed, then it will proceed to build Docker images and push to the Docker registry. Then Drone CI will deploy service to Kubernetes computing platform. To manage the Kubernetes computing cluster, our developer will use the Rancher admin panel. Users will be able to access our Data Scraper web application via a URL hosted on Kubernetes.
Hello, in this section we will talking about the documentation. It's not required for team sprint number 3, but we would still like to briefly touch on it because when we're developing enterprise application, the documentation is critical. To start off, we will of course have a project plan. This way we will be able to better manage and understand where we stand and in terms of resources and effort on specific module or components we will work on. This will help us to understand how we get this far and what we're going to do going forward. Use case and user story, we will also produce all the document like user story doc or use case diagram, and so we can specifically understand if the module or the component we're working on actually solve the underlying problem we're trying to accomplish. And on top of that, we will have software design document. This way, a user will be able to quickly understand how and why we're designing this application or design our solution. And testing is very important, and we will include our test plan related documentation from like single or unit tests all the way to like component or the whole test suite from the development up to the time we roll it into production. Our solution should be and will be self-designed in self-explanatory way, so that user not necessarily need a guide to understand or to use our application. However, we include a user guide so that if users are running into issues, they have a place to reference, so they use this doc. That's all. Thanks.